Hi mate, you alright?
Hi mate, how you doing?
Hi, not bad. How are you?
Yeah, really good, mate. Really good. Thanks for joining.
Oh, that's that.
Is that a background that you've got on there, or is that actually where you're sitting right now?
Yeah, it's actually where I am.
Ah, no way. Where are you?
Hacienda in Ibiza, like north of the island.
Oh, is that place still going? Because I looked
And
Hacienda Nathamina, right?
I didn't know how to pronounce
Oh,
it.
mate,
Whatever you said there.
proper mint that is. Yeah, I actually stayed there with Ange about 10 years ago for a couple of nights. We did like a massive clubbing holiday with all our mates. And then we
Uh,
stayed there for I think for 2 nights or for 3 nights at the end, just so we'd have a bit of time to kind of chill out. But then on the last night we still went out, went to Passion, had a massive night. We kind of ruined it all. But it was yeah,
it's all right.
it's a beautiful place, man. Like honestly, it's like it must be one of the nicest hotels I've stayed in. Like when you're sitting in the bar as well and it's just got that view, like that same
Oh,
view you've
mate,
got there.
it's unbelievable. There's a wedding going on at the minute, like so. Not really loud, many places in the hotel, but
Huh. Are you
so they're just.
DJing?
I mate, it went downhill from last week.
Yeah, fair play, man. Fair play.
I'm gonna eat close Ableton as well, just eating their CPU.
Yeah. Oh, you use Ableton, do you? Good man.
Are you the same?
Yeah, same man. Same. Like
What's all this stuff behind you? I can't
so
make it out.
I've literally just I've got back into music production. I had a long gap, right? I learned how to use Ableton and I wrote loads of tracks and stuff, but I was doing it as a hobby. I had a gap of about 15 years. And now that all this has kicked off with my DJing and stuff, and I've quit my day job and I've actually got enough time to do music production again, I've
Yeah.
got back into it. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to have like a studio that had quite a bit of hardware in it because I think with the VST thing, sometimes you can do everything you want on a computer with VSTs. I know that for sure, right? But for
It's obviously
inspiration, having hardware is good because you've got the
uh,
knobs and the sliders, and sometimes by messing around with the knobs and the sliders and by changing things on envelopes, and especially like one of my
uh,
synths, I've got one over here that's like semi-modular, like a little like Arturia one here, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
just the experimentation and messing around, you can make completely new sounds, right? And it's harder to
Accident.
do that
Yeah.
on VSTs where you're clicking. It's easy on a VST to design a sound and get it exactly how you want, but
Uh,
it's like yeah, it's less easy to stumble across by chance. And then when you've got your loop running and you start messing around with the hardware, like with the knobs and stuff like that, that's when you can really
yeah.
start thinking, right, when I get to the end of this 4 bar section, I'm going to filter this, or when I get to the end. Whereas if
Uh,
you're just kind of going through menus and drawing in automated envelopes, I just
yeah.
you have to be
It's
like,
even the LFO's not syncing up properly, especially like for when you're making trancy stuff that creates more of like a like it just flows nice and it just fucking like when everything's like if you're using like serum and the LFO's just going up and down perfectly by each bar, it's not the
yeah,
same. And
yeah.
like for people like us, I feel like we hear the difference of something analog.
So yeah, and then you end up having to make a whole load of effort just to make it sound as though it's not all been perfectly quantized and
Yeah, no,
whatever,
I know.
right? And you just think you could have
Even
easily just played it yourself on something that wasn't brilliantly synced in the first place, and you got that nuance.
like
Like,
it's even like, like the virus and the JP80. It's not like it's not hot, it's not analog, but I feel like even something running through jacks is like it just gives it a different sound in general, even if it is a digital thing.
yeah, I saw you had an 8080 in your studio actually. So yeah, I
Yeah.
was going to ask about that in a bit. But just to answer your question, so what I've got is I've got an Novation Peak, and then
Uh-huh.
I've got an ASM Hydrosynth, which looks well wacky. I'm well looking forward to getting into this. I've literally just
Yeah,
unboxed
that's
this
fast.
stuff and got it all on the rack, but I haven't plugged it all in yet. Like I've got that's next week's project. I've just been away DJing the whole time. And
Yeah.
then here I've got three from Korg. I've got the Mod Wave, the Wave State, and the Op 6. And the Op 6 is an FM synth. So that one's
Uh-huh.
going to be that's like well wacky. I've never had an FM synth before, but apparently like load up a patch and then you've got like all these different operators and you've got like
Yeah.
a mixer for the different six operators here, and you can mess around with the levels. So that's going to be like a world of exploration and fun.
Uh-huh.
The wave states. Do you remember the Korg wave station back in the olden
Yeah,
days?
yeah,
It's a
yeah.
modern version of that. It's basically sample and synthesis, but with an emphasis on like kind of pad type sounds. But it does
Uh-huh.
more than that as well. And then the mod wave is another like one where it's got some element of physical modeling in it in the sales blurb. It was like you can imagine a ball that's rolling and it can hit a wall and you can decide when it hits the wall whether it
Uh-huh.
accelerates it like a pinball flipper or it slows it down. And in each of
Yeah.
those things you can assign to different parameters within the synthesis engine. So that looks like one that's going to be a bit of a like, spend a day like messing around with them. But you
Yeah.
again get some. You've only got the idea of the studio is to get like one like lead sound for each track
Uh-huh.
out of each synth sort of thing. You use for inspiration. I don't think trying to sync all this up and doing a whole track on it and then recording it all and stuff's like that's
Yeah.
like probably the quickest way to lose my mind. But for But I can write, I can really get into one of the synths and mess around with it and use it for a track. And then the next track I write, I can sit down and rather than having all the same plugins and stuff, I can start
That's
messing
the
around with other
thing.
synths.
You get stuck in the same like. That's why I quite like me because as much as it's known for like the super saw things, like it's so fucking twitchy. So like you move one knob the slightest. I don't know if it's just mine being fucked, but it makes a savage noise. I'm just like, that's a complete new track.
Are you
It's
talking about the
moving.
8080 here?
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
twitchy
that's
as
classic synth. It was part of that batch. At the time, there was the Novation Supernova, the Access Virus C, the
yeah.
8080, and then there was the Nord, like there was a Nord lead one as well, and they were all in that same sort of area for like quite powerful virtual analog synth.
Yeah, I've just got a Virus B, but have you seen that OS Tyrus thing?
Right.
It's like a virus. Someone's like spent years like redoing like it sounds identical to a virus. It's called OS Tyrus. I think it's actually free, but
Right.
they've spent years just making the exact replica of the VST version of the virus.
Yeah.
I'll send it to mint.
Well, have you got the rack mount one or the keyboard?
I got the back mount.
But I just don't think, like we were saying before, I just don't think there's a compromise for the knobs, for the hands-on thing when you're like putting sounds on. I've got over here as well, I've got this little thing that I built myself, this little wooden rack, right? And I've got 2 drum machines. So I've got one here, which is the drum boot, which is actually analog. That's from Artillery. And then I've got the Erica synths, like the LXR, which is a digital drum synth.
Yeah.
And that's like a semi-modular keyboard, but with the drum machine, right? Because I want to get into making some techno, right? And techno's all about like the subtle variations through the track and stuff. And having the analog synth there and just being able to get my track playing. And as the build-up's coming, I can twist the knobs one way, twist the knobs the other way, create my sound texture. I think that's gonna be a good one. But I'm kind of also
you get lost in it though, don't you? You just end up there fucking hours when it's techno.
That's the one. There's a fine line between genius and idiocy with this sort of thing. You know what I mean? Oh, cool. So we're doing a live stream. I'm honestly so excited for it, mate. Man. It's gonna be wicked, man. We're around my house. I've got a nice pro audio setup and all that. So we can do it on vinyl, we can do it on CDJs. My preference is probably CDJs.
We'll see on the day. Like obviously I haven't touched vinyl since I started on vinyl when I was 13, I think, and I stopped but I think it was when I went to buy my first Mac. I had Stanton T62s, so I sold my record players, and I've only been on vinyls once since. I've just got
all right, maybe park that one. What DJ equipment did you start on then? Did you say when you were 13?
Oh mate, it was 2 Ministry of Sound belt drive. Well, the worst decks in the world. Like it didn't even feel like belt drive, man. It felt like a hamster was trying to speed it up.
Yeah, but you do learn, don't you? And then when you go up to tech,
I got there in the end. I was thinking about getting even though there's like obviously it's like you use the equipment that's available at the time, and obviously it's fucking hauling a massive creative records around isn't like a nice easy option anymore. But mate, I'm getting so tempted to doing it just to make it more fun for me, because anyone's just fucking. I find it a little bit. It's more satisfying, isn't it? Just.
Mixing on vinyl is extremely satisfying. There's no doubt about it. But the disadvantages aren't even lugging the vinyl around a total pain, especially if you're at a festival or you're going to Ibiza or whatever. But even setting that aside, right? There's that it also removes a lot of your flexibility as a DJ, right? Because I find sometimes I'll play something and I'm pretty sure it's going to get a good reaction, and if it gets a bit of a mediocre reaction, the speed with which you can mix out of it, or you could just beat jump. Right, 32 beats, just using the beat jump button, do that a couple of times to the next breakdown, right? Give the dance floor a breakdown, and then you're ready to mix out of it. And if you've just put a record on that's like a 9-minute record with a long build up in it and stuff, you're fucked. You are a bit fucked, and you just, it can actually take a bit of energy out. So it's like, it's all good and well saying, well, you've got to get your track selection right in the first place. But I've only been doing this a short time, right? I feel like you can always be surprised by something going down. And that's why you play test your own productions on the dance floor, because you're like, does it land right? Is there enough? Does it kick in hard enough after the breakdown? Is it, is the breakdown too long? Is it too short? You only really get a feel for it when you're playing in front of an audience. So to have that flexibility with CDJs, I find really helpful.
I made that. I would never do just a vinyl only set. Like I'd just even just have one vinyl player on the side, just to have a little bit of fun with it. But I find like I don't know, it's just more fun, and I want to do it.
Like, I think so. I think so. And then are you
live on there?
Say again, sorry.
I want to start with, like, once I've got a more like because I've been working like fuck on music recently. So like once I have like I've got like this big like I want to do an album next year, and I've started stockpiling all these ideas that are half finished, but with the will get there by next year or halfway through next year. And I want to go live. Like I want to do a live tour, just like using Ableton, a few of me synths and stuff. But so I think that's going to be something I'm going to start putting together soon.
Yeah.
I'll still order the CDJ because like you can fuck around that with alongside Ableton and like a I don't know like an 8-channel mix or something. But yeah, I mean I definitely want to get into that more. So
there's so many different ways you can do a live show. Are you good at playing like keyboards, or do you see it more as a like is that your thing? Are you like?
No, yeah, I'm quite good at keys, but mate, in a lot of my trance stuff, the riffs aren't that impressive to do. Just like it's like maybe the chords and stuff every now and then, but it's not something I'll do. I think it's just like have more control, like say like on a new track title, just like being able to bring the filter up when you want, and you can isolate and loop that drop for ages perfectly. Start playing with like the 303 and stuff. Like I just think it's a lot more fun for me, and I think it's ultimately if you nail it, it's a lot more fun for the crowd, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. I've noticed Carl Cox switched to that approach quite a while ago with his DJ sets, and his like, you know, Carl Cox is one of the only guys that was involved right at the very start that's still like sizable now. There's plenty of others that have been involved, like, you know, they've come and gone and have, you know, taken a bit of a pause or whatever. But yeah, you know, one of the things that he's always done is embrace the technology and embrace the change. So he didn't get too stuck. Like he was a hardcore DJ, but you know, obviously that had a limited market and it was on a bit of a limited timeline in terms of its global scalability. And then he was playing house music, and I've heard him play sets at the tech house and techno. And then obviously he's embraced digital, and he's just continually smashed it and not really reinvented himself, but more just kind of kept up with the times, right? And stayed relevant.
It's just knowledge, isn't it? It's just fucking. It's like yourself, mate. I think just like over a period of time, you end up with like yourself with like even just your collection and that. It's like, you know, like you just know your shit.
Yeah, I think that's, you know, probably
now, like a lot of the new kids now, like I really think because I've been like a massive fan of dance music since I can remember. But like obviously I started doing this when I was 13. What the fuck is that? Jesus Christ. Sorry, mate. That is the weirdest fucking bug I've ever seen in my life.
What? Boat?
I didn't know what it is. Is that fucking weird, mate? It's skitting it out. What the fuck?
Have you got glass?
Oh, mate, I can't catch that. It's fucking huge. Wait there. I'll try and get a picture.
Unexpected turn up on the live stream.
Oh, Maria, what's this bug? Don't hit her. Don't hit her. Sorry, mate.
No, all good, man. I'm glad you survived. Glad you survived the incident.
Fucking huge, that fuck.
Yeah, no, but mate, I believe you. It's like, you know, when you're off in these foreign countries, anything goes with insects. We're relatively lucky in the UK, you know. You see these clips of people opening their toilets like in Australia or whatever, and having like, you know, snakes and shit like that, or spiders under the door handles and shit, you know. You know, you're in bandit country, mate, North Ibiza. So for the live stream, are you like I know you normally like it's normally a kind of a trance thing. It feels like sort of 140 BPM trancey kind of vibe sort of thing. Is that would that be like in where you'd see it going for this? Or?
Yeah, I'm happy to go anywhere. Like we could start off a bit progressive if you want, or work way up.
Just whatever, like just so I've got an idea, so I know what to get ready on my stick. But yeah, like I love a bit of trance. Trance is kind of like the backbone of what I like. Progressive trance, like classic trance. I'm really into like the tech trance sound at the moment. A little bit harder, kind of like David Forbes cameo type stuff. Because it's just got a little bit of both. It's got that techie element to it. It's got that edge, but it's also got that lush breakdown and the bit you can hum along to and stuff. So yeah, and
we go through some of Mark Wolvie's old stuff again.
No, yeah, classic tech trance.
God, he is. It's absolutely mind blowing. I think though I hate playing some of it in the clubs because you like obviously it's made in like some of it like 96 and 95, and it's just like, you know, on the V10s and stuff where you can where you like you do the compression thing next to the trim.
No, I'm not a fan of the V10 actually. Tell me a bit about it, because this might be its saving grace. Like, give me it. Oh, it's got compression built in as an effect.
Well, there's this compression thing. Well, I think it's a compression thing. I'm assuming it is. It like like if I've got like an old vinyl, like well, not an old vinyl, an old tune that I haven't remastered, because sometimes I remaster it myself, you know, they just boost a
Yeah.
little low end, a bit high end. Like I can do it myself on this mixer, so I just turn the isolation knobs up, which is like an extreme EQ. It sounds like to me, like you
Ah,
a little bit,
okay.
up a little bit, and then you turn the compression up a bit. It feels like it could belt it about a bit, belt it out more. What mixer do you prefer? Like, are you on the?
So I'm an A9 guy because it's what I've got at home. It's got better sound quality than some of the old Pioneer mixers. It's got 3 EQ knobs rather than the 4 on the V10. And I find when you're mixing with using the EQ on the V10, sometimes you want to be like, you know, doing EQ on 2 of the channels at once. And if you've got 2 mid-channel knobs on each on the V10, it can make it a bit tricky. And also sometimes you have to work out which of the EQ knobs has got the most frequency going through it on the tune you're mixing out of, and sometimes you can turn it down and it doesn't make that much difference. And it seems to me like an unnecessary hassle when on the A9 you can strip out most in the mid range of a track just with one knob, and then you've got your other hand to do something else. I like the ribbon, the XY ribbon for the effects thing. I think it makes it easier to be kind of creative and see what you're doing with that. So it's I know it's what I'm used to at home. I don't want to give that as the reason why I prefer it, because I did look at all of these mixers and I looked at Allen and Heath when I bought, but for the style of mixing that I do, I just felt it was the best, like the best fit, and therefore it's the one I'm most comfortable with. And I don't mind like the 900 or the 7. I don't mind the 900 or the 750 when I'm in a club because that's fairly similar. But the A9's also got a really, I know it sounds basic, it's got a really killer feature on the color knobs for effects. You can put the center lock on, and then if you like use the bit cruncher or the filter and something to do a bit of an effect, when you whip it back, you know it's always going to land dead on 0. Whereas with the other mixers that don't have that lock thing, it's sometimes you can overshoot it a bit. And just as, you know, if you put a bit of like bit crunch on and then you're whipping it off as you get to the drop, and then as a tune drops, you take it too far the other way and you totally ruin the drop. You know what I mean? So it's like,
It's I never used to like the V10, and then I like. Can you do like you'll know this like from like Eddie Halliwell sort of type mixing like in the early 2000s, whatever it is, and like the hard house trance mixing. I love it. Like, you know, you could just be playing something really melodic back in the day. They just don't really do this as much anymore. And you'll just hear the mids get slammed out and only the highs play. And then that new tune comes in that's a completely different energy. So you could be playing, say, like something melodic like Lange, Follow Me. And then you mix it to fucking just like a big heavy house, like hard house song. But you like it strips out straight away, so it feels like it's came in out of nowhere. I like that sort of mixing, like not subtle blending. I love just bang, it's in.
yeah,
So I found out like with the, like it says on the V10, you've got like the low mids, the mids, and the high two highs.
yeah.
So it's like just stripping them straight out, and I feel like that's as my sort of like energy I like doing. But the one thing I don't like about it is it is like if you are trying to do the subtle mixing, sometimes it is a bit too sensitive. Like because the bands are so like it feels like a hard cut
Yeah.
on each band frequency. So if you fuck one of them up just by a little bit, it's completely muted.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like
They're quite small knobs and they're quite close together as well, right?
yeah,
The
you end
reason
up
I,
with
and the reason I never really like the Allen and Heath ones, I've never mixed on one. I know they've got a good filter on them, right? But the LED, like the VU meter, the LED VU meter per channel is many less like LEDs on it, right? So when you're really trying to optimize that volume level and get it as loud as you can without getting it into the red, I just feel like it gives you less resolution, like to do that, to really get a precise feel of it. And then when you're queuing your next track up and you want to make sure again that you've got it at the same like volume level as the track that you're playing out of, I just feel that if you've got like more segments on the VU meter, it just makes it easier to really see what's going on with those volume levels. So you avoid that thing of mixing a track in and the volume levels being mismatched and stuff. I know it's only a little thing, but it's another thing that kind of I've always been a bit weary of on those Allen and Heath mixers. I've never, and they're really not the industry standard, right? They're only ever in clubs when people have requested them. I know they're probably well suited to like doing really slow, like low blends, long blends, but it's not really my style. Like, but my style's more like what you just described.
yeah. I feel like I've played it. BLK is a fucking incredible DJ, and I've played with him twice, and but it's been sometimes it's like we all know mixers, and like you can put us on a brand new mixer, and you just know what you're doing, you know everything is. There's just some shit that confuses them on Heath, and I'm like, and I don't know if it's because I've not been in the right mindset. Like when I've played about BLK before, because he's the only time I've been on him on.
Yeah.
Like he's pretty much mixing for us. 'Cause I'm like, how the fuck do you use this? But Alan Heath's not for me.
Oh mate, he's such a nice guy. I've hung out with him a few times now because I've played I played on the bill with him a few times. Like we did the reboot closing party over in
Oh, mate, they're class on them.
yeah, mate, it's wicked. I love that. I love those parties because again, although there's quite an emphasis on hard techno, it's like they're open-minded enough for me to come in and do something a bit different to that. As long as it's like reasonably hard, right? I'm not going to go in there and play anything lower than like 147 BPM, right? So that's only a little bit off the kind of classic hard techno 155, 163 kind of range, right? So as long as I go in there and play some absolute bangers and like grab people with my first track rather than try and do something clever and subtly building it up, then it's always gone down really well. But yeah, like BLK, I noticed that it's moved into a very industrial like kind of sound now, you know, and it's like it's very heavy. I saw you were talking about doing a small club tour, right? And that looks super cool, right? And I've got my own view on why you might want to do that. But what's your you put a thing up saying, can anyone recommend small clubs with 6 sound systems, right? What's behind that, and like what you're hoping to get out of that?
I've done, and this isn't me taking it for granted at all. I fucking love playing the big shows. There's just a different form of energy of it. But I've done in the UK. I've spent the last year and a half doing them. Like I did my own warehouse project, but I did an arena tour. It was just arenas. So as much as I love them, and don't get us wrong, there was a few of them that had great sound systems in, but majority of the time I felt like a lot of the records you want to play aren't either as good as they are or not going to work there. And a lot of the time I find myself playing to like not just like well-known anthems, but just something I know is going to work, and it's quite obvious and baity. So I love doing that because it's a different. It's all entertaining the crowd, and you're doing what you want to do at the time to make the crowd happy. And I'd like to think I've done that. Sometimes it might not work, sometimes it does, but I think most of the time it does. But I want to be able to do more like educating and like go back into my collection, or like being able to play like some of my productions that are only going to work on really solid sound systems. Like I've got some like more techno stuff, and I don't mean like the hard techno. I mean like the actual techno, like really stripped back shit. Like no like exaggerated kick drums, or like actual processed 909s with reverb cut off the EQ, you know, like saturated the reverb to make it like resonant bass lingering on. But and just like weird like polyrhythm stuff. Like I've got loads of that stuff I want to play, and like take it on a bit of a journey as well, because when I'm doing these arena shows, I'm doing like an hour and a half to 2 hours. You can't, if you're the headliner and you're doing an arena show, everyone wants to go fucking mental. So you've just got to play mental stuff. But I feel like when I get back into them small clubs, and I miss that vibe of it, like I say, that's not me taking it for granted that I've had the opportunity to like do these arenas and thank fuck sell them out. Because it's like at first my manager was like, yeah, we're doing well enough now, you're going to do an arena tour. I was like, mate, I'm not going to sell that. And like luckily, like I think within like a few days we'd sold like over 30,000 tickets.
Amazing.
Yeah, mate, it was unreal. So like I say, I'm very grateful for that, but I just want to get back into like not permanently, but just every more than I was. And instead of getting pushed from different people, like, oh, we need to do this, we need to do that. Just do what I want to do. And even if I like play like a city that I do really well in, and it's like only a 500 cap, I wouldn't mind playing like 3 nights in a row to like get like being able to like have 1,500 people there over the course of 3 days. I don't mind doing that because I fucking love it. And like I say, it's more about the actual journey of the set and doing a bit more educating than like you were saying before, rather than just the big anthems. And I feel like I have to rely on quite a lot of my more well-known productions as well. And there's some of them as big as they are, and as much as it's probably the reason some people want to come see us, I feel like I've got a lot better unreleased stuff now.
Yeah. That's exactly what I thought you'd say, really, because obviously I've not been playing out anywhere near as long as you, but I've played as big as 20,000 and as small as like 500, right? And with the 500 show, you build a connection with almost everyone in that room. I mean, it's like you can make eye contact with almost everyone that's in that room over the course of a 2-hour set. You can vibe a little bit with people and stuff. You can take them on a bit of a journey. There'll be also, as opposed to 20,000 people, if you're playing to 500 people, they're all going to be like people that really like you, that really want to come and see you, and they're going to be potentially be more forgiving of something that's outside of their expected musical range, but more open-minded towards it as well. So there've been tunes that I've always wanted to play in my DJ sets. You know, like an example of one is Christian West Flashpoint Part 2. Right, and it's a progressive trance track. Maybe I'll play it when we do the stream, right? But it is long. It's like 9 minutes long. It's got, you know, it chugs along, and then it's got a really euphoric like kind of breakdown and a build up, and then it kicks in again, and it just gives me absolute goosebumps, this tune. And I never had the guts to play it when I was playing to a bigger crowd, because I just thought, this is like, you know, you're going to have some people in here that just come to see me because they like me from TikTok, and, you know, are they all going to be people that absolutely like real music heads or whatever? But then you get your occasion when you're playing a smaller club like Joshua Brooks in Manchester, or Hidden or somewhere like that, with a more headsy crowd and people that are like, you know, that are really like your key fans. And they just totally get it when you play stuff like that. Now, I'm not necessarily saying I'm going to go down a rabbit hole of playing the weirdest and obscurest music that I've got, but you definitely have more leniency to try new things. And because if you've got a large crowd, you've got to play stuff that's got broader appeal, and you don't want to start like, you know, losing the crowd or getting too kind of weird with it.
You think you can't play like very mono-based tracks. Like, I think that's why trance works quite well, because it's them wide fucking super small. It's like it hugs the crowd. Whereas if you've just got like a simple techno thing, as bang as it may be, it's gonna sound shit if the speakers are that far apart going whoa. So like I think that's why me trance works in arenas, but it's not as much as I love trance. I'd rather stop in like the progressive stuff as well, like earlier on sets, and I can do longer sets there as well.
Yeah. I love 3 hours for me is really sweet. Like, I like to play for longer than that, but I just like I'm a bit older than you. I get a bit tired on my feet, like my feet start hurting and stuff, you know. But I've done 4 and 5 hour sets, and it is wicked. Yeah. You get to cover a real range. Okay, yeah, that's cool. That's kind of like what I thought you were going to say. My friend's actually got a theory on why the jump up sound is the way it is at the moment. He's like, because drum and bass is in these big arenas, right? The frequencies, you know, that kind of like Toad sound, where a lot of these drum and bass tracks go like, but those sort of sounds carry well in a large arena, and the bass is harder unless you've got like a really serious system in there. It's
well separated in the spectrum.
It's yeah. So it's like maybe a lot of it is almost a victim of its own success to some extent, that the spaces that are determining the sound, because those kind of sounds sound louder and clearer to the audience. I don't know if there's anything in that or not, but it was an interesting theory when he said it. I've got a question, right? For me, the question is about, when did you realize that you were on the right track, you know, and you were like that something was happening? And my example was when my first event was at Hidden in Manchester, and when the tickets for that went on sale, I was pretty keen on pricing them at like a £5 a go, because my biggest fear throughout my whole life has been having a party that no one comes along to. And I didn't think there was anything in it. A lot of people going, I'll put a night on, I'll come. And there are people in London and Glasgow and stuff. And I was like, you're not going to fucking go from London and Glasgow to Manchester. And I tried to persuade the people I was working with just to price the tickets really cheap. But I think they were people that are more used to looking at social media and being able to suss out people's value and their demand. And the tickets were more like kind of 20, 25 quid. And it did sell out, like not in the few days that you just mentioned, but this was like, I don't know, it was only about kind of 2 weeks or something, but it was 2 months before the event. And at that point I thought, yeah, maybe, you know, but then you're sort of wondering, is it flash in a pan? Is there a lot of pent up demand in the market? That, you know, is it something that's going to be reproducible? And then after that, I made sure I got loads of footage from the event. Loads of people were posting stories. I've got a very young crowd, and they're very active on Insta, reposting stories, and on TikTok. So that massively helped. But, you know, it was at that moment really that I thought, yeah, maybe I'm onto something. At the event, when they opened the doors, there was a surge of people came in all to stand at the front. So that was like a new thing for me, because it was like, you know, when I used to go clubbing in the olden days, that wasn't such a thing. And then when I stood up on the decks at 4 a.m. at the end, when the last track was playing, which was Red Jerry's mix of Drax Amphetamine, last tune of the night, I stood up on the decks. And oh no, it wasn't. It was Cygnus X, the orange theme. I stood up on the decks because that's the first point where I could see how full it was, and it was still full all the way to the back. Right at 4 a.m, and I thought, okay, well, you know, hopefully maybe I'm onto something here, because this has probably gone better than anything else I've ever done in my life up to this point, you know.
Yeah, that's class.
Yeah, it was class, man. But what was like? So, what did you have a moment like that when you were like, okay, maybe this is going really well now, actually?
I had 2. The first one wasn't as impactful as the second one, but it was like, right, this is pretty fucking good. I got my first Creamfield set. Sort of like, it went well, but sort of by fluke. The first reason I got it was because it was the first year after the restrictions from COVID were stopped, and a lot of the international DJs still went out in the country. So I got my set by fluke. So like, right, we need to find some locals. But I was on a 3 to 4, 3 to 4 or something. So like no one was in that tent. Like 5 people were like in this 8,000 capacity tent, and I was like thinking, oh, this is gonna be dreadful. It's awkward. I've brought my mum down to watch us and shit. And then because I had one big song that year called Fruity, I thought people thought, oh, there's no one else on at this time. I want to go and see. We're going to give Ben Hemsley a chance. 5 minutes before we said 8,000 people turned up, and I was like, what the fuck? So I played it, and the cassette went really well. And because it was received that well, this is what made the actual moment happen. Next year, I think I was playing the runway in Creamfields, and unfortunately, my granddad just passed like a week before, I think, or 2 weeks before. So it was like, and my family were there, and that year, I think 35 to 40,000 turned up to see us on the outdoor arena, and because my granddad just died, this played a massive part in it. And I seen like my family having a good time down the bottom, like, and I seen this many people in front of us. I burst into tears in front of 35,000 people, whatever it was. And I just remember packing top and like cuddling us, and I was just crying like fuck. There's loads of people, the hands in the air, and I thought, fuck me, I want to do this forever. And I already knew I wanted to make music forever, but I wasn't actually sure if DJing was going to be for me. But then when I seen that, I was like, fuck. And it's not like I don't have. I think a lot of kids who want to get into DJing now feel like they want to do it for the DJ lifestyle. They want to do it to be known. I don't get a buzz off being like known in dance music. I don't get a buzz off being like getting approval from other people. I feel like it truly feels like a buzz just giving people, whether it's an hour and a half, 3 hours, just making people escape for that long. And I was like, this is what I want to fucking do alongside writing and producing the music. I was like, fuck me, this is amazing. And I feel like that was my purpose, because I'm a bit of a hippie of that shit. I feel like that was like truly what I'm meant to do.
Well,
So
you're definitely doing that, mate. I can tell you. You know, 100%. It's funny because another one of these moments for me was at Creamfields as well, where because I was playing the very last set of the festival in the Pepsi Max Arena, which is about 4,500 capacity tent, and I was going up against Fatboy Slim, Bicep, Camel Fat, Alesso, and Michael Beebe, right? So they're all playing at the same time as me, right? And I honestly thought when I went into my tent, it would be like, I've got some great fans, right? I've got a very loyal follower base, as I'm sure you have as well. And I knew that there would be some people in there, but I honestly thought it would be like 100, 200 people, right? And it didn't matter to me. I was just going to go in there and like play my heart out and play like the best trance tracks and give these guys a great time. When I stepped up the things to play, it was the tent was completely full. And that was really validating, because all I've ever done on my channel, all I've ever wanted to do is just share good music with people. And I'd be happy just doing it on my channel anyway. But, you know, being able to stand up on a stage and doing it, and people making that active choice to come and see me over some giants and very accomplished people within the scene was, yeah, it was a really big moment for me. And it made me feel very humble and very grateful for it all. And, yeah, and I hope it goes on forever as well. But, you know, we'll see. But yeah, that was a good moment.
Yeah, I'm sure. Definitely with your knowledge, I don't think it can't not. There's a lot of shit DJs, and like I was saying, like maybe girlfriend and me drive out, and if I were on about you before, but like I was just, because my girlfriend does like she loves music, but like I was like, people like him, the knowledge and the wisdom they have over, which you can only get from decades, like you say. I think that's like, so I wouldn't be worried about that if I was you.
Oh, thanks, man. I had someone comment the other day saying that I look all my information up on Google and I have prompt cards like behind the camera. Like, where did I get my 2,000 records from? Just got them at a car boot or something. It's so ridiculous. So ridiculous. Anyway, so who are your like influences as a like from a producer and as a DJ?
Production. Early days, and this is the first thing was like, you remember like the mashup CDs and the mashup, specifically Mashup Euphoria, the Ministry of Sound Translations. So I originally was inspired by the classic trance sound, like the actual classics, and then I delved in a bit deeper and I got a bit more familiar with like Tiesto's back catalogue. This is when I was like 12 to, no, like 11 to 13, and I've got my first copy of Reason. Give up after about 3 months because for some reason this bloke in the music shop give a fucking 13-year-old Reason, which is mapped out like a fucking old like analog studio where you're patching everything.
Yeah, I remember it. It even simulated the chord swinging, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it was a ball ache. And So I scrapped the idea of producing stuff for like 3 months. Got a copy of FL Studio. That seemed a bit more moved in Ableton, but I was still at the start. I was referencing like I remember this Tiesto CD when my mum used to have it in which was called was it Magical Journey? It's just like a combination of all his biggest hits, but it had like some stuff that wasn't just as obvious as Adagio for strings in the industry. It had like, and it was like when he had like a bit more like the techno kicks in, like from like the early 2001, and then like that's when I started getting like Margot V and people like that, and then the EDM boom came in when I was like probably like 15, and then I started making EDM and I was making dubstep, which in my opinion now was awful, but ultimately doing all these genres throughout my life, like because I'm not like I've never been like a music snob. I've appreciated everything, so I loved making everything, and I still do. Like I've done some writing for other people and producing for other people, and it's funny because there's some people who bitch about us online, but they're like, oh blah blah blah, he's no such and such, and I'll be like, I've made their tune. It's like, so shut the fuck up.
Yeah, that is a good one. That is a good one.
But I mean, I was inspired by a lot. Early on, it was the trance stuff, which thank fuck I had, because me, when I first started playing trance again, my agents and stuff were saying you're not going to get booked. And I went from playing 100 capacity clubs to like 10,000 and like, cause of trance. So then I started making my trance again. And me, I feel like, yeah, I'm just inspired by trance in general. And like, not like more earlier, like more in the recent years, the progressive stuff. Like I've only really started getting into that. Like, and so I mean, I've been inspired by everything, but mainly trance. And thank fuck, it's feels like it's being revived a bit.
Yeah,
And
yeah, totally. And the the stuff you were talking about there, like for me, like the trance producers that I rate the highest would be like Lange, Mike, Push, like
yeah,
Tiesto, Paul Van Dyke. You had like the Thrill Seekers. There's like, yeah, Vincent D'Amour, like that kind of cohort that blew up kind of around like 97 through to the noughties and stuff. Like they were just untouched, and some of those tunes, Darren Tate's another one. Some unreal tunes, and Darren Tate, Destination, and Let the Light Shine In, both two wicked tracks. Have you heard? Have you listened to Tiesto's double mix album called Nyana?
not
That's a
sure.
good one. That's a good one, man. That's like, yeah, he goes. He's got everything on it from like hard groove through to trance and a bit of techno. It's a really well heavily programmed mix. I'll send you a link to it, but that's worth a listen because it's just one I listen to like in the car and stuff. Such a good mix.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. You've
Lange is fucking like Chicane as well. Chicane's by far one of my favorite producers. I'm actually working on a remix for him right now.
yeah.
Case if I do this one, I'm allowed to do Saltwater after.
Yeah, oh, that's cool. That's yeah, big fan of trance, man. I used to go because like when I was going out, I started like the trance I got mostly into around kind of 98 when it would really start proper blowing up. And we used to go to Turnmills, like go to the gallery at Turnmills, we'll go to Freedom, which was at Bagley's, which is like a big warehouse in King's Cross with 3 big rooms in it. It was funny though, because they used to have like there was always trance in one room. There was a bunker downstairs as well where they played trance. And then in the middle room, it was usually garage. And then in the other room, it was something else. And you get a very different atmosphere. I've always liked it all anyway, but it's a bit weird going from a trance arena into a garage arena. But it wasn't like, you didn't get that much attitude in the garage arena. It was still like quite a friendly, like type of affair. And it was just unreal times, you know. You had like Matt Jam Lamont and Cole Tough Enough Brown playing like, playing like garage and stuff, and then you just go into the trance room and Ariel will be doing these like epic 8-hour sets. You'd hear all old tunes like Crescendo Are You Out There and Cafe Del Mar and 52, but it was when stuff like that was brand new coming out, and it was just an exciting time for music, and I'm so glad that sound's coming back, and there's people like you at the forefront of it, and Hannah as well, like doing stuff, and some of the stuff I'm producing at the moment is a bit trancey. It's a bit hard to put the finger on exactly what my sound's like. I've had a real creative burst over the last few weeks, I think, because I've been doing so much DJing and I've got a better idea of what my crowd likes and stuff. It's made it easier for me to relate to that, and I would make stuff that's a bit less wishy-washy and a bit more riff based and a bit more immediate and stuff. And I'm just kind of on that journey, and I've got to the point now where I've got some stuff that I feels like, I've test played a little bit of it. I might play one or two of them on the stream, probably not, to be honest, because it's a confidence thing. I need to kind of really really polish them up. But yeah, oh, that's cool. And then we've talked about like about some of your studio hardware, like what's your favorite go-to thing to like mess around in, like whether it's a synth or a sampler or an effects unit or
mate, I can At first, when I used my 8080, I was just like, I'm just going to use this for my pads and like some weird leads. Because, mate, there's these two tone knobs at the top of the 8080. And even if you're making a super on any synth, it doesn't have the tonality and like timbre of the 8080. But then, mate, I've been like getting weird like FM basses out of it and stuff. So, mate, even if it's a start with like just a dotted noise, dun, 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 I can write fucking anything and I can take it in any genre from there. Like, you can stay techno or trance. But then, like, over the top of these weird noises. And like I say, mine's a bit twitchy, and I don't know if it's because it's fucked because I've only ever had one 8080, and I've only had it for like 5 years now or 4 years. And sometimes it just like moves, and I'm not sure if it's because I've got this VST that can control the parameters from it.
Yeah.
Like, so like the MIDI in, MIDI out thing going back into the computer. And mine twitches, and I don't know if it's because one of the knobs moves. So it sets it to that on the software. So it sends that patch information, and it gives juggling between the two, and I'm like, that's fucking mint. So that is my go-to just for starting ideas. But now I feel like I've unlocked a new bit of my brain in the past year, where before even like it used to be trial and error when I went into the studio. Like I'd fuck around till I found something out. But now I feel like I've got like every time I go and write a song, like Tidal, I had the vocals written and all the elements in Tidal. I had a concept. I was like, I want to make it sound like a fucking wave. So the melody goes like up, down, up, down, up, down. There's like little textures in the back that are just going up, down like a wave. Every single thing is going up and down in that tune. Maybe only to me, maybe only like recognizable by me. But like I've always got a concept for a tune now. But now I can hear like full chord progressions, like just for closing my eyes. So I can already go in the studio for the idea, and I'll hum the chord progression, even though I can only hum the one note. I'll hum it in my phone, my notes, and then I'll take it to the studio the next day, remember the chords in my head from that one note of the progression, and just write it from there. Or I have like a meaning of a song, which sometimes I might send to a songwriter and just be like, yeah, write us a song about that. And then once you've got a vocal, I feel like you can write. It's just once you hear a vocal, you can get everything that's meant to be behind it. But like one of the biggest tunes that raised me was that was a happy accident because it just started off with the dun 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 dun, which is like a fifth chord stab that I made on this Waves plugin called Elements. So I think to sum it up, it's a bit of everything, but mainly if it was one bit of equipment, it'd be my 8080 or my Moog One.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of fun with that because I don't know how the fuck to use it.
Yeah.
Patching random things.
Yeah, you can't be. I'm going to be like that with this mini brute, this semi-modular thing, right? Because I know how the synthesis chain works. I know how to program and synthesize, but once you actually do it patch leads, it is different, right? There's no presets on there, right? You literally start from scratch every time. I'm really looking forward to getting into it, but it's going to be like 99% rubbish. Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it, though. You have to capture it in the door, like after you've written a thing, because it's like, well, I guess actually with the semi-modular, it does retain it when you turn it off and on, doesn't it? So it doesn't like completely wipe it out. But yeah, I've got an Arturia Mini Freak here, right, which is this little one I've got on here. And that's super cool because it's got all of these different ways that you can affect the pattern when you're using the arpeggiator and stuff. It's basically geared not so much for synthesis, for creating a sound from scratch, because it's virtual analog anyway. It's not like true analog synth, right? But it's more about just as a creative tool. So you can put in an arpeggiated pattern, you can change it drastically, you can randomize all these parameters. There's like a control modulation matrix, so you can assign things to all different stuff. And it's just, I haven't got my head around it at all yet. I've only just had a quick play around using the preset patches, but even the default patches sound good on it. And I'm really looking forward to getting into that. But I think, like I said at the start, I'm just going to use like one synth for every track that I'm writing to create the lead sound, because otherwise it's just easy to get overwhelmed or end up with something that's a bit too weird. So that's my thoughts. That's my thoughts.
The person who makes weird stuff as well, like when it's obscenely weird, like where you've just got a loads of random bleeps and bloops, which some people might enjoy, and I do enjoy, but I feel like when you've made something really bleepy and bloopy, sometimes it is only you who can enjoy it because you've made individual sounds and you can separate out by yourself. So it's scary to get involved in too many at once, I think.
But the thing you said about Tidal is interesting, because it really sums up, right, the mental link between the artist and the listener, right? Because you just described how, because it's called Tidal, as a chord progression goes up and down, you've altered parameters so that it kind of like sounds or has the effect of like a wave coming and going out. Right now, you're going to recognize that like clearly every time you listen to the track. Right now, the listener may not make that association with like a wave crashing into the water, but what it does is it adds the texture and it adds the depth to the track that makes it listenable and differentiates it between like a loop-based track where you're just like, you know, putting some stuff together. I've been talking to a guy just on DMs on Insta, and he sent me over a track. He said, I've only been producing for 2 weeks and I've made this track, and I listened to it and I thought, you know, it's really not bad. But I said, how did you do it? And I didn't go back to him and go, oh yeah, you've done that with loops, have you? Because I'm the sort of person I always ask a question and find out. Right? I was like, how did you do it? And he said, I've done it all in Ableton. I didn't use any loops. I've created everything from scratch. And I was like, that's fucking impressive that you've done that. And then he sent me another one, which was much better, which is his second track he's done. It's in a kind of deep house like type thing. If it gets to a good enough level, then it's something that I could look at for my label. Or if it's not for me, there's, you know, I'm kind of like chat with a lot of people in the music industry, and I'm very happy to put people in touch and stuff, because I'm just all about trying to make it better for as many people as possible. But I was surprised at how good this track was. But again, it was lacking the texture. And I said, you know, what you need to do now is you need to start using the effects, right? And you need to play around with them. So for example, on your lead sound, I gave him a few examples. I was like, you know, like put on your lead sound, like put in a vocoder, make it really dry so it's not like affecting it too much, and then start playing around with the parameters and see how it affects the sound. And what you might find is, as you isolate the riff in a build up or in another part or a bridge section of the track, that you make that bit the thing where you alter one of the effects so it starts making it sound a certain way, and then bring it down again and up again. And what you do is, you know, don't do that with every sound in the track, otherwise you end up with something that's muddy and whatever. But if you do that with a few key elements, it creates a signature to that sound, and it carries the listener, and it makes you keep listening for longer because you can hear it. It's not just the note progression that's changing, but it's actually like the sound itself. But less is always more. That's my production tip for anyone. And like less is always more.
I think that's why the old trance used to work so well. Like I think what's that fucking tune again? Well, it skips me mind. Someone did a tune and it was a bit too full, and then he called it the pure mix, and it was just all the stripped out elements, and it only had like the sawtooth wave, like which is like commonly used. Like all the trance plugs are just a sawtooth with the modulator cut off.
Yeah,
and just that with the pads, kick, hi-hat, clap, and that was the one that became a hit because it was the strip back, just needed only, but like making space, like, because it's easy to make a track sound good when you've got loads of elements, but I feel like the beauty comes from tracks that are more simple, when you can fill out the spectrum just with them few elements and the textures underneath. The textures is what it's all about, especially like if you like me and you who love trance. 100%.
Yeah, totally. Right, I've got some non-music related questions, right? What's your favorite ice cream?
I had one yesterday and I don't really like ice cream. You know, the little Mars bar ones.
The Mars bar ones.
Mars bar ice creams.
Mars bar ice creams.
I love them.
Well, you're in luck because they're widely available, you know. I quite like, you know, when you go down to Cornwall, right, and you get like a clotted cream and ginger ice cream. It's got chunks of ginger in it, right? I like that. It's not widely available, but it's probably the best, to be honest. You know, otherwise,
there's a banging ice cream shop near me called Seat and Delava Ice Creams.
Right.
Their vanilla ice cream is just fucking outstanding. I don't know what to put in it. That's like crack.
Okay. Maybe it is crack. It keeps it. Where are you based these days, anyway?
Mainly a beef and that. I think it's something like a bit too much. Maybe man just be going absolutely mental. It is, but I want to move here next year. Like,
how are you?
Yeah, I'm looking to buy a place over here, so hopefully I can get that sorted by next summer, which would make my residency a lot easier.
Yeah, definitely. You've been at Amnesia this year, right?
No, I did Rocks again this year, but I did a few at Amnesia. And,
okay, sorry. Yeah, okay.
I did like high and stuff in between, and I was meant to do one Ishvaya, but unfortunately I got ill. But like, fucking.
Yeah, fair dues. You're Geordie though, right?
You are?
You're Geordie though, right?
Yeah, in the winter I stay in Newcastle, just North Shields, if you know that.
North Shields, right. Got it.
That's where I was born. I still stay there. I'll always want a place there because it's fucking home, and it's actually lovely. It's right by the sea, so.
Oh, cool.
Everywhere I go.
I'm playing Newcastle on Saturday. I've got my headline show at the NX.
Oh man, that'll be class. It's a good venue. Like, you'll love it.
I can't wait, man. But again, because it's like I've got 3 hours or 2.5 or 3 hours. So I can start with some techno, and I do play proper techno, just proper techno, right? Not hard techno, not melodic techno, not business techno, but actual like just underground techno music that you'd hear if you were like, you know, probably like if you'd gone to Trez or Berghain, but the tracks I'm playing are probably like, you know, a few weeks older than what they'd be playing there, right? But it's like I've got some really, really good stuff. And then I go into some tech trance, and then I can play some trance, and I can play some hard house. And then for the last little bit, I'll play a little bit of hard tech, you know, kind of get everyone jumping around a bit. It's just I think Newcastle's perfect for that sort of music as well.
Oh man, it's a thing on the, like it's got like an educated crowd and it's got the young kids, and I feel like when you're doing a party in Newcastle, you get everyone. So, and I think if everyone's going to be happy for a little, even the one little part of the night, everyone's just going to vibe off each other. I feel like when you go down south, I feel that people get a little bit not into the heavier stuff.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think down south, right? Like it's a bit different for me because people come along to my events knowing that they're going to be taken on this little journey, and they're more open-minded just because of the sort of style. Like if you're a sort of narrow-minded person or whatever, you're probably not going to be that keen on my personal style or my personality, and you're unlikely to come along to one of my events. So I think my followers generally are people are a bit more open-minded, a bit open to listening and experiencing, enjoying new stuff anyway, right? And that's certainly what I've found. But I do tend to agree with you. I think as you go further north, especially like if you go to Scotland or into Ireland as well, right? I mean, they like it banging there, right? There's no doubt about that. You know, I wasn't messing around when I played at SWG3 in Glasgow, or when I was Limelight in Belfast, or Index in Dublin. It was, you know, I was like, I played it a little bit harder. I skipped out the sort of housey element that I normally play at the start of the set, and just didn't bother with that, and just started straight with techno. And they proper loved it. You get quite a reaction. You get quite a reaction in those places. And I just feel like Newcastle, I played before. It was only the second gig I ever played, so that was in April. And again, I stuck. It was like techno, trance, hard house, right? And that worked really well. But now I've got the tech trance and the hard tech as well, so I can do something a little bit more interesting with it. But yeah, can't wait to play Newcastle on Saturday, man. That's gonna be mint.
Oh man, well, I wish I was there as well, man. I would have fucking came.
Oh mate, don't worry, we'll get our chance. The opportunity will come.
I think
sorry.
I think we're doing fabric together soon.
So we were supposed to be doing a fabric, and I think it was in August, and then at the last minute before it got booked, Chris realised that my holiday was across it, right? And I think like Chris is trying to sort, and my manager's trying to sort another one out now. Because I think I just think it'd be perfect, man. I think we'd have great synergy. I think it'd be so good. We'll find out next Sunday anyway when we do this live stream.
Yeah, of course.
And then that's the last question, mate. Which 4 items would you take for a fried brekkie? If you could only have 4, like cooked breakfast, what would you pick?
Well, I'm vegetarian.
So okay, you can still manage.
So just 4 like bits of food on the fried breakfast,
Yeah, not including toast.
Eggs, spinach, avocado, and tomatoes.
It's the only bad thing you've said for the whole duration of this. I'll edit that bit out, mate. No, I'd go bacon, sausage, black pudding, hash brown. Boom.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to agree with yours. I think that boring.
Yeah, I won't put that to a public vote, mate. But I think no, fair play, mate. Fair play. Yeah, my mate was a veggie. He was a veggie, honestly, for about 20 years. And then one day just decided not to be. We've not even got to the bottom of what the reason was. He just started eating meat. And that is not in any way trying to suggest to you that you should do that at all. But it was just unusual because he was always going on about meat is murder, and he was calling me a sick fuck for eating meat. And then one day just decided that he too was going to eat meat, you know. And then there's this other guy I know who's vegan, right? And
that.
Mate, he's vegan, but he has a steak once a month, right? And he's vegan because his wife has made him be vegan. But he did it on the condition he was allowed a steak once a month. Now you could kind of say there's a flexitarian for doing that, and definitely it's better for the environment and all of that than eating meat every day and stuff. But it feels like a shame to go to all that effort and then just to ruin it once a month. But I guess you could say that about anything, right?
It's like I mean, I was cutting the chicken, them pre-cooked chickens you get from Asda or Tesco or something. I was just cutting them there and make a chicken salad at the start of COVID, when we first got locked down, and I seen a vein or some shit in the chicken. I was like, "Fuck this! I'm not eating that anymore."
Mate, so this guy I know is just one of my followers on TikTok who I've chatted to a couple of times. Him and his mate, they're like food hygiene inspectors that travel around from place to place, factories checking and stuff. And he said, if you're going to avoid any 2 types of food, right, from a food safety point of view, is pre-made sandwiches, right, and pre-packaged things like what you just described there, like when you get chicken that's already been cooked in a packet. He said they're like the worst things for like stuff that's like always has higher levels of listeria and E. coli than is acceptable in it every time they get tested. And like with sandwiches, like I think if you go to like, not to turn this into an advert, but if you go to Pret, I think they make them on the premises there and then. Whereas all the ones you buy in the petrol stations and stuff, or from like supermarkets, are made in these big factories where it's like apparently they're just yeah.
That's all one as well, isn't it? Like Marks and Spencer's use the same as Morrison's.
Oh, for sure. I've got to tell you, mate, it put me off eating those sandwiches for a good week or two after I had this conversation. You can't beat the convenience. When you're on the road, sometimes that's like the only thing you can get. Like if you get to the services, it's like 10 p.m. You know, I've had days when I'm traveling between gigs. You only do 2 gigs in a day, and just because of the timings, it's like you get to the services for your dinner and you're starving. And like, you know, sometimes the only thing you can buy, like you'd be lucky to get one of those types of sandwiches. I've had like crisps for my dinner. It's not very healthy. I'm trying to lose a bit of weight at the moment, to be honest.
I don't know how I'm so fucking fat. I was like, I've always been a little bit of a chubby, lanky fucker, but
it doesn't show.
No, I mean, trust us when he says next week, I'll be like, oh, he's a fat fuck. But I don't know where it all came from, because if I ate meat, I'd be fucking enormous. All of a sudden, my metabolism just dropped to some shit, or it's probably all the beer or something. But
yeah. Oh, fairs. Yeah. Oh, cool. Well, mate, it's so nice talking to you, mate. Honestly, thank you so much for your time. So thank you, and yeah, just enjoy the rest of your time. When are you next playing?
I've got a flight to Amsterdam. I've got 2 shows at 88, and then back in the studio next week, and then I've got drum sheds the weekend. We're doing the live stream, and then
mega. Oh, that's right. Yeah. So you coming straight from drum sheds to my house, or is it you going there afterwards?
I think I play. What day is the stream on Friday?
I think we're doing the stream about 6 p.m. on the Sunday, right?
On the Sunday. Oh yeah. So I'll go to drum sheds after yours.
Right.
I think so. Yeah. But cool. I'm so excited to do it.
Yeah, man. Like I played drum sheds last week, but I was in the Y room, which is the middle room.
Oh, mate, it's better.
Yeah, it's a good room, man. And I had Harry Shotter, who's just like one of the legends like that I used to watch. I saw him come up. I saw him when he was like a kid, when he got started, when he was just doing his own like MCing on YouTube, and he was literally had like holding a bit of paper with the words on and stuff. But I knew there and then that he was fucking good, and he blew up so quickly, right? He's like a real like his lyrics are just so good, and he's good as a hype man. And it was unreal for me performing and having someone like of that caliber like as my MC, and I was really glad to have him there as well, because it's a big room. You know, and you've got like some people coming there with mixed expectations, or they're used to hearing jump up and stuff. And I wasn't playing jump up. I was doing like a kind of 20-year history of drum and bass thing. Some of the stuff I was playing was new, unreleased, but some of it was old as well. And it was good having someone there. It was unreal, like having Shotter there. It was much appreciated. He's a real nice guy as well, and one of the only people in dance music who I happen to be taller than as well. So that's nice as well, right? I'm like, no. But yeah, drum sheds is sick, mate. So you'll have a good one there. I just came from ADE. I played at Oliver Heldon's thing on Wednesday night at Melkweg. It was good, but he's a tough act to follow because he's playing to his home crowd. So like for me to go, I'm not as well known at the moment over there. I certainly had some fans there, but it was tough, right? I had to I had my idea about what I was going to do at the start of the set, and I had to change it a bit to get it more in tune with what the audience wanted. And it was tricky, but it was good playing in Melkweg. I've been there a few times over the years and stuff, and it was still got a nice little cheer at the end from my fans. But yeah, it was a tougher gig than the headline ones that you do, you know, where everyone's
it's always the case. And I clashed with Armin in Holland last year at a State of Trance.
Right.
So my room was like a bit quiet, like, so I was like,
it's the Dutch destroyer. I know, it's very Corsten, isn't it, Armin? Yeah, cool. All right, well, nice one, Ben. So safe travels back, and enjoy your subsequent performances on that. And I look forward to seeing you on Sunday week, man. It's going to be awesome.
Thank you, mate. I'm very excited myself.
Yeah, cool. All right, cheers, man. See you later.
Bye. Bye.